Welcome back. In this demonstration, we're going to make little ripples of water on the this area down here, which is going to be our water, which we already did a little blending on, and now we're going to overlap little waves of water. So again, we're going to work with a monochromatic color scheme here. I'm going to get white, and I'm going to get some of those light blue, which is really called turquoise. And I'll get just a little bit of black just in case I decide to put a couple dark ones on. And we're going to have to do some mixing now again. I'm going to use my big brush again to do mixing to get a nice even color. And then I'm going to switch over to my detail brush so I can do the small lines for the waves. Okay, so I'm going to take a big pile of white, add a little bit of blue into it to get a light tint. Now, we've already got a light tint down here in our water and a darker tint or more pure color up at the top. So we're going to use our paint and kind of do the opposite of what we already have. I'm just going to set that aside for the minute. And where it's dark, you're going to put a light tint, and where it's light, you're going to put a darker tint, or maybe even a shade. So I'm just going to get my brush wet, this little watercolor brush wet. I'm going to get my pure mixed up tint, and I'm just going to do some little W-like shapes like this. I'm just going to go up and down for a little wave of water. And if you want to color that little wave in a little bit more, you can. And I'm just going to put a couple in. Now this is going to be repetition. We do not want a pattern. We want these to look staggered all over the place. We do not want them to look like a pattern. Also, you want to have them like smaller up here and maybe a little bigger in the front so that there's a little size difference as well. All right, so here's just a couple little waves in the back. Pull a couple more. 1, 2, and you can notice that none of them are exactly the same height. None of them look exactly the same, and that's fine. That's what we want. Then I'm going to take this brush, I'm just going to wipe it off, and I'm going to make a little darker tint. And you can kind of see the difference here on my palette, this one being a little different than that one. And I'm going to put these ones up right here in the front. Notice they don't stand out quite as much because they're not as light. So I'm actually going to add a little bit light back into it. Good. There we go. And I'm just going to put a couple in here. And notice, again, I'm not making them all the same. I'm making them all a little different. And now I'm going to take this blue again and make a much darker tint because I'm going to do the ones down here in the front. And I'm going to use these ones right up here in the front and make a darker tint. And you'll see, well, I can hardly see that. So I'm going to add a little bit of black. Here's my black. I'm going to add it in to get a little darker shade now because we're adding black. There we go. You can see a huge difference there from this first pile to that one. I'm going to use this now again and try that little wave. Good, there you can see that one a little better. And this overlapping should give us a little bit more interesting texture to our front water. So that nice even blending with the little water caps on there is going to look quite nice. Alright. So that's how you just do little bitty water waves in the front. And then on our next section we'll come back to do the sharpieing. Alright, so when you're done, take your palette, put it where it belongs, wash your brushes out really nicely so everything's clean, and make sure you put your paper where it belongs if it goes on the drying rack or if we're going to work on our next session. Okay? And that's how you do the waves in the front water.